Are you planning to start out on your own? And does this thought come to your mind that what should I offer? What can I do? Hi, my name is Atin, and today I'm going to be talking about how can you really find your strengths so that the confusion which creeps up, like I can do so many things, but what should I really focus on? Maybe it can be trimmed down to a bit. So let me give a brief background on how this situation plays out. So back around 7 years ago when I started freelancing. So during the initial 3 to 4 months, I really did not do anything. So I was literally trying to figure out what can I do. And while figuring that out, there were so many things that I used to do in my job that I got really confused. But again, just pointing to that situation, this is what happens when you don't have a plan in mind or when you don't think through things. So let's dive into how you can. So if you are still struggling to come up with what are the services that you can offer or what are those strengths that can really help you make your presence known in whatever domain you're trying to freelance. This is how it goes. So let me share my screen. Okay. So again, as as you might have read somewhere, or as it is always said, that you should always play to your strengths, and playing to your strengths is, so if you are playing to your strengths, you are already at a much higher level than someone who's trying to learn and then figuring it out while doing things. So how do you figure out what are your strengths or what are those things that you can really offer? So first thing is, uh, take some time, maybe take couple of hours, and you should really think about it during your past uh, times when you were in a job or whatever you were doing. What was the real world feedback that you would have received? Now, how do you think about real world feedback? So this is again divided into four things. The first is you can straightforward ask your colleagues whom you might have worked with previously, that what are the things that they found that you are really good at. Okay, and you'll be surprised by the answers that you'll get, because what happens is other people's definitely know what your strengths are, and you might even think of it as a very small matter, but you should definitely ask your colleagues, and you'll get start to get some ideas of what are things that you are really good at. Okay, so it can be a simple SMS, or it can be simple WhatsApp or email asking them what are the, can you tell me my top 10 strengths which you have felt while working with me? Something on the same lines. But the gist is to ask them what are your strengths. Okay. Second, think through again, go back to the past, clear out your space, okay, be in a silent environment and think, were there any aha moments in your life while working? If there were, what was the situation behind those aha moments? What did you do? Did you solve something? Did you come up with something in certain domain, or something like that? So what led to that aha moment? Okay, and those can be your strengths. Okay, so again, we are just trying to list down as many strengths as possible. Okay. Third thing is, now what people have said. So again, first you asked your colleagues, then you thought through any aha moments that you might have had. And third is, again, you need to think and go back to those past times. What if people proactively came up to you and said? Okay. And it might happen that people would have came to you and said, "Oh, you did this good, and you managed it so well." So that means you have good management skills. Okay. Again, so just trying to extrapolate what has been happening in your life. Okay. And lastly, any problem that you might have solved. Again, that would have led to aha moments, or it would have led to you feeling good about yourself. So let's say you're working on a past project and some things were stuck. Then you came in and you sat down, you maybe worked on it for a couple of days, and then you really were able to solve that. So what are those things that you solved? What skills did you use to solve those? So again, these can be a great way to list down your strengths. So all of this, maybe try to come up with around 10 to 20 of such strengths. Okay. And we'll see why are we coming up with these strengths. Okay. So this goes into real world feedback. Next is, so make a column. Okay. So take a sheet of paper, make a line dividing them into two columns. On the left column, do a real world feedback and list down all those things. Okay. List down just the points. Second is your own skills. Now, again, this you will have to think through. Okay, so what are the skills that you think you have or you are good at? So it could be, so again, it could be small skill, it could be a bigger skill. So no skill is too small. Okay. So for example, you might be good at coding, you might be good at algorithms, or let's switch to design. You might be good in wireframes, you might be good in visual design, you might be good in illustrations, you might be good in pencil sketching. Again, so no skill is too small. Okay, so just list down whatever skills and whatever variety of skills you have. Okay. You might be good at playing games. I'm good at playing games. Okay. So don't hold back on writing down your skills. So left column, real world feedback, right column, your own skills. So last is, now you have written down your real world skills this side, your own skills this side. Now see and do a mix and match. Okay. See how many skills turn up common in the situations. Okay. So some skills might lead to a situation corresponding to that on your this side. Okay. So do a mix and match, and you will come up with a short list of certain skills, and those really are your strengths that you can actually start out. Okay. In my case, I'll take a real world example of how I figured out my strengths. Of course, I figured it out quite late, but I'll take my example. So I'll take a couple of examples. So my real world feedback is, so I make things simple. Okay. This is what people have told me. Then I follow through. Okay. Then I am helpful. Okay. Let's take three. And then I'm just trying to give you an example of how it works. Okay. My own skills. And these are plethora of skills like, so, wireframing, okay, idea validation, user flows, then UI design, I'll say design thinking workshops. Now, if I were to compare these two things, so let's pick I make things simple. Okay. Now, if I were to see what can be made simple, so I'll see these three, wireframing, idea validation, and user flows, will come into I make things simple, because this is what I've been doing, and due to that, people have been telling me that yes, this is so simple. You made things so simple. Okay. So again, these three skills combine into my solid skill of making things simple, and I can, if I want to start out again, I can, and I definitely will start out with wireframing, idea validation, and user flows. So I'll do some kind of service which includes all these three skills, because then I'm playing to my strengths. Okay, good. So summarizing it, take some time out, write down, take a piece of paper, make two columns, write down your real world feedback based on what you have asked your colleagues, based on any aha moments, based on what people have told you, or based on any problems that you would have solved. On the right hand column, Write down your list of skills which you feel you are good at. Write down each and every skill. Okay, go as wide as possible. Finally, compare these two and see what are certain things which have come out or overlap the most, and then those are your strengths. You can really shortlist your strengths, and you can really start out by utilizing those strengths, and you'll find it much much easier to start out. Okay. Great. So I hope you guys found this video on finding your strengths useful, and if you feel that your friends could benefit from it, make sure to share, like, or subscribe. And if you want to know more, and if you want to interact more, uh, make sure to join me live in a webinar where I tell you how to launch or grow your freelance design business.